Well, I think companies are finally going to have to provide some guidance on this year. I think the analyst estimates for this year and for next year have been too optimistic, but partly because they're not getting guidance from companies on just how badly this virus will have affected their operations. And I think we'll get some ugly numbers in the second quarter, but I think also a large note of caution from many of the industries that are most affected by this, because the problem is that we've seen a bounce back, certainly a partial bounce back in the economy, but progress from here is going to be slow. I think in terms of employment, I think employment gains will slow down a lot from here because a lot of the industries that remain in trouble are going to have a very hard time reopening in a pandemic environment. I think corporations are aware of that. I think they'll have to tell shareholders that.
David, I'm worried that the numbers are going to be so skewed by a lot of the government schemes that at this stage we don't know whether they will continue. All those top-up $600 payments that a lot of workers had received, that there are question marks whether it continues. And from what I've seen early on, many of the corporates could not forecast demand. They were pretty good on the supply chain, but had no clue as to what the demand story will look like. Aren't we going to have to just lean into what they're now saying around the consumption habits for the foreseeable future? But we potentially can't even trust those numbers.
Well, it's going to be hard to do that. Particularly the macroeconomic data are very hard to interpret right now. But you know that's kind of our job as forecasters. So we'll be looking closely at things like unemployment claims to try and figure out what the trajectory of the labor market is. We're also obviously looking at Washington. We do expect a further coronavirus relief bill. I'm thinking we'll get something in the order of $1 to $2 trillion passed, probably in the early days of August. I think there'll be some extension of that $600 a week enhanced unemployment benefit, but not complete. So I think there'll be some further aid for workers. But I think the real problem is still this pandemic, because it's not a matter of whether states reopen or governments say you can go back to doing your thing. If the virus is rampant, people are not going to be jumping on planes, crowding into restaurants, going to ball games. And so I think a lot of the things that make America tick and a lot of frankly, the fun stuff in life is going to remain pretty much closed down until we have a vaccine in 2021. I think corporations will try and reflect that in their numbers.